morning. Welcome to this week's Compass Point. There's an interesting show that's been on television for almost 20 years now. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it. Not everybody is interested in watching sports or sports talk shows, but it's called Pardon the Interruption. It airs on ESPN, or here in Canada, it's aired on the Sports Network, TSN. It's an interesting show that features lively debate and dialogue, hosted by Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. It's called Pardon the Interruption because the show has a unique kind of a setup. The hosts cover a number of different topics, and there's on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen a countdown, a clock. Each topic is to be discussed in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and you can see a bit of an agenda, an itinerary of all the topics they hope to cover in any given show. And so as they talk about each particular aspect of sports or how sports impacts politics and culture, you can see the clock winding down, and then the bell sounds when 1 minute and 30 seconds has passed. Pardon the interruption. It's time to move on to the next topic. It's interesting that ESPN executives decided to postpone that show when the COVID pandemic came along last March. They haven't canceled it, but it's just on a hiatus. Interesting that Pardon the Interruption was interrupted by COVID. And don't we all know what that feels like? Because here we are 6 months into this pandemic, and I'm sure all of us have experienced COVID's interruptions. We've had changes in our plans, trips that had to be canceled, events that are postponed, and there's a lot of disappointment and sadness associated with all of those changes, unexpected postponements, suspension of plans. But this Sunday, I'm going to focus on how God is present in all of those changes and interruptions. It's going to be a continuation of what I reflected on in last Sunday's message, where I explored with you how God is present in all of the uncertainty of our lives. What's unknown to us is known to Him. God in His grace meets us at every corner. And if we really believe that's true, and I'm sure we've all experienced the truth of that, where in our changes of plans and even in our disappointments initially, we experience something good. We see God at work in ways we did not anticipate or plan for. If we believe that's true, then we should almost expect and even want God to interrupt our plans. You know, we're familiar with the little do not disturb signs that people sometimes post outside of their hotel doors. They just hang it on the doorknob, do not disturb. Many people have suggested that that's the wrong attitude to have in our relationship with God. In fact, it should be the opposite. We should ask God, please disturb. Because it's in all of those moments of disruption and disappointment and changes in our plans that sometimes we see God at work in ways that is more powerful and more good than we would otherwise experience. We see a lot of evidence of this in the Bible. I'm going to explore that with you further on Sunday morning. But here's something interesting that Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote in his seminal work, Life Together. It's exactly on this topic about having God disrupt our plans. We must be ready to allow ourselves to be interrupted by God, he said. God will constantly be crossing our paths and canceling our plans. We may be preoccupied with our own more important tasks. But when we do that, we pass by the visible sign of the cross raised on our path to show us that not our way, but God's way must be done. It is a strange fact that Christians and even ministers frequently consider their work so important and urgent that they will allow nothing to disturb them. They think they are doing God a service in this, but actually they are disdaining God's crooked yet straight path. I like that phrase, crooked yet straight path. What seems crooked to us, an interruption, is straight. It enables us to experience something directly from God that will enable us to experience His grace, His pardon. Pardon the interruption. That's a strong word. It's a word of grace, of forgiveness, a word that assures us that God is present. And so as we continue to think about that, as we anticipate reflecting on it further on Sunday, let's be prepared to experience God in all of the interruptions and the disruptions of our lives, and experience God's grace, God's loving kindness that meets us at every corner. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to sharing more with you on Sunday morning. Be well and be blessed.